Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2023 movie titled Snag. Please be advised that there might be spoilers ahead. The film opens in Spain introducing Victoria, the mafia boss of a prominent criminal organization. Victoria is dealing with a problem in which she is punishing 3 hired killers from Australia for infringing on her territory. When it comes to executing the final assassin, he fights back unexpectedly and escapes. He then takes refuge at a neighboring desert bar. This fugitive assassin goes by the name Snag. Once inside the tavern, Snag requests for a drink from the barman. Meanwhile, the barman gets a phone call. To his amazement, Victoria is on the phone. Victoria turns out to own the bar, and she orders the barman to execute a person who has fair complexion, blue eyes, and is dressed for the beach. The barman, identifying the description matching with that of Snag, agrees to handle the situation. After the call, a fight abruptly ensues. A woman who was present noticed Snag's bravery and was amazed with his axe. Despite catching and placing Snag in front of her, the woman offered him a knife and encouraged him. However, Snag was outnumbered and unable to defend himself. Soon after, the barman approached with a gun, ready to harm Snag, but the woman discharged her weapon into the air and told everyone to stay away from him. Everyone in the bar respected the woman, who turned out to be Victoria's daughter. Valentina took Snag away in her car. Along the journey, Valentina revealed her admiration for Snag's bravery. Valentina's bravery and attractiveness enthralled Snag as well, foreshadowing their coming romance. In the days that followed, Snag and Valentina were formally dating. He even had Valentina's name tattooed on his finger to symbolize his love for her. Valentina grinned cheerfully with this gesture. The next day, as they were together, Valentina mentioned her desire to introduce Snag to her mother, Victoria, and receive her consent. Valentina wanted to take their relationship to the next level, so they discussed marriage. Despite being on the run for killing people in Victoria's territory, Snag told Valentina that he would do everything for her, even if it meant risking his life. Valentina was pleased by his devotion, and they resumed their romance. The next day, Snag accompanied Valentina as they talked. Snag apologized to Victoria if his actions had injured anyone in her territory, stating that it was simply part of his job. He then requested for her permission to marry Valentina since he genuinely loved her. Victoria, on the other hand, was upset about her daughter's relationship with an assassin, knowing it may endanger Valentina. Victoria, not wanting to break her daughter's heart, reluctantly gave her blessing on the condition that Snag serve her for the rest of his life. When Snag heard this, he agreed, and they were at peace from then on. The following day, Snag began serving Victoria by addressing her business opponent. Despite being alone, he overpowered the rival's mafia boss and seized all of his money. Snag then instructed the mafia bosses to turn over the money. He quickly fled, and Valentina awaited him outside. As they drove away, Snag and Valentina celebrated their achievement in stealing the opposing mob boss's money. Their car was suddenly hit by gunshots. They realized it was an attack by the other mafia boss's men, who were still pursuing them. Valentina hurriedly concealed Snag in the bushes when he sustained an injury and became unconscious. However, the rival mafia's men discovered them and forced Valentina to fight back. Despite her numerical deficit, she defeated them all individually. A few days later, Victoria came alongside Valentina and Snag. She taught Valentina how to torment those who had betrayed her. She displayed her savagery by torturing a person and then abandoning him in the desert. 2 weeks later, Snag was still working for Victoria, eliminating her business rivals and taking their money. After accomplishing his assignment, he went to Victoria's car, where she was waiting for him. Despite his injuries, he handed Victoria all of the stolen money. Snag was taken aback when she pulled out a gun and revealed that she did not approve of Valentina marrying him. She threatened Snag to leave if he did not want to face serious penalties. At the moment, Snag couldn't accept it because he had always been faithful to Victoria. It became evident that she was only faking since she didn't want to hurt her daughter. She gave Snag one day to leave without Valentina's knowledge. Victoria warned that if he disobeyed, he would not survive. The next day, Snag bravely approached Valentina and revealed everything. He stated his intention to take Valentina away and pledged to deal with anyone who attempted to stop them. After hearing this, Valentina recommended they married in the desert before leaving the nation. With little time left, Snag consented to Valentina's proposal, and they planned to marry that day. A few hours later, Snag and a priest waited for Valentina to arrive in the middle of the desert, ready to exchange vows and marry. Victoria stopped Valentina, who appeared to have just completed dressing up. Valentina begged her mother to let her marry Snag since she truly loved him, but Victoria refused. In despair, Valentina fled, but Victoria dispatched 4 of her men to ruin the wedding, and they opened fire, wounded Snag and killing the priest. Fortunately, Snag survived, but the priest did not. Meanwhile, Valentina raced as quickly as she could into the desert to find Snag, but Victoria's men kept shooting at her until she was killed. Snag could only grieve as he witnessed this tragedy, stunned by the unexpected death of the woman he loved. He kissed Valentina's forehead before fleeing the scene. 4 years later, Snag is living alone on the beach, unable to forget Valentina, who is still dear to his heart. He has decided to forsake his job as an assassin and leave a more conventional life. One day, Snag goes to a cafe operated by his buddies Javi and Anna to unwind. They appear to have a deep bond, as Snag has only been near to them thus far. The next day, Snag awakens to discover an armed man outside his house, evidently attempting to enter. Their encounter leads to the realization that they know each other. The man is Marco, Snag's former friend and assassin. After laughing off the misunderstanding, they sit down to converse while enjoying the beach view. Marco explains that he came to tell Snag that Valentina is still alive after all this time. It comes out that Victoria had hidden Valentina, and Snag had to be cautious because Victoria was still after him. Snag was surprised to learn this because he had assumed Valentina had died in his arms. Marco soon showed Snag a photo he had secretly obtained of Valentina, informing him that she was still alive. However, Victoria and her men were keeping a tight eye on her. Snag, overcome with emotion, promised to bring Valentina back, regardless of the risks. Marco promised to accompany him, but they required 2 additional individuals and adequate weapons. The scene moved to Snag's pals, Javi and Anna, who were going about their everyday business at their cafe. Shortly later, Snag called Javi and asked him and Anna to come to his place immediately. At the time, he needed their assistance to free Valentina from Victoria's strong grip. As true friends, Javi consented without hesitation and promptly accompanied Anna to Snag's home. When Snag arrived, he immediately ushered Marco into Javi's car, signaling the beginning of their operation. Snag informed them of the strategy while they were on their way. They would travel to Victoria's headquarters to rescue Valentina. Marco, knowing Victoria's current location, would lead the way. Before heading to Victoria's house, they had to stop at Snag's friend, Diego's house to gather weapons. After retiring from assassination, Snag handed over his weaponry to Diego. When Snag arrived, he went directly inside, which surprised Diego, who had assumed Snag was dead all along. Diego warned Snag that Victoria was still after him and had hired the best assassin to kill him. Fortunately, Snag had been hiding in a secure area, making it difficult for anyone to find him. Then, as they prepared to attack Victoria and her soldiers in an effort to save Valentina, Snag requested his firearms. Soon after, Diego brought Snag to his weapons cache, where he discovered his armory in good condition and ready to use. Returning to the car, Snag was surprised to see Anna and Backslash. Diego's younger brother was held at gunpoint by 2 criminals who were looking for Javi. Victoria recruited a female assassin named the Reaper to ambush them and find Snag. Soon after, a shootout occurred. During the ruckus, Diego pushed Snag and his pals to run while confronting the Reaper. They eventually made it out, and Diego was successful in shooting the Reaper. The Reaper, donning a bulletproof vest, rose and resumed her pursuit of Snag, who was her primary goal, not Diego. Snag and his companions continued to journey. A few minutes later, Javi proposed taking a break near his grandfather's house. Snag was initially concerned because the Reaper could still be after them, but he eventually accepted when Javi assured him that the house was securely hidden and safe from detection. Upon arrival, Javi sent Marco and Anna to check the lights generator in the next room while he and Snag waited in the living area. Javi advised they spend the night and continue their journey in the morning, as it was growing late. Marco and Anna struggled to start the machine in the generator room because they hadn't used it in a long. Marco then heard the sound of approaching motorbikes. Looking outside, he noticed the Reaper and her army. At the same time, Snag saw the Reapers approach and wondered how she had found their place. A shootout broke out instantly. Amidst the ruckus, Marco fights Perry. However, Marco is shot in the back just as he has the upper hand. Unexpectedly, Anna reveals that she has always been Victoria's spy, entrusted to keep an eye on Snag. Despite the betrayal, Snag continues to fight Victoria's men until he has defeated them all. Tragically, Javi becomes a victim of the conflict, suffering a bullet wound to his stomach. Soon after, Anna approaches Snag and hands him a phone. It's Victoria on the line, saying goodbye to Snag. Victoria praises Snag's tenacity, realizing his struggle and loss. She insists that Snag and Valentina will never be together, despite the fact that Valentina has a son with Snag. Victoria resolves never to reveal the father's identity to her grandson because she dislikes Snag. Snag, overcome with sorrow, bursts into tears after knowing he has a daughter and feels like a failure for not being able to reunite with Valentina. After the call, Anna apologizes for her conduct, stating that she did so because she owed Victoria. She then fires a bullet in front of Snag. In the final scene, Snag awakens in an unknown location, presumably alive. Thanks for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more of these recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.